Let's talk about something that I've been thinking a lot about lately, and I want to start with a truth that you may not hear a lot. These social media companies, they're not looking out for you. They don't have your best interests at heart. In fact, in many ways, they're designed to make sure that you're constantly hooked, constantly addicted, and constantly overstimulated. And that's because their business model depends on it. Their goal is to keep you glued to your screen for as long as possible. The longer you stay on their platforms, the more money they make. It's a simple equation. The more you scroll, the more ads they can show you, and the more data they can collect about you to target you with even more ads. It's a system built to benefit them, not you. These platforms use sophisticated algorithms to keep you engaged. Have you ever noticed how you can be scrolling on Instagram or TikTok, and suddenly you find yourself 30 minutes, an hour, even longer, lost in videos or posts that don't really matter? These companies know exactly how to exploit your brain's reward system. They know how to keep you coming back for more even when it's not good for you. They've designed their apps to trigger that dopamine hit every time you scroll, every time you like something, every time you get a notification. And what happens is, your brain starts to get hooked on this cycle, this constant loop of seeking more. The more you get, the more you want. It's not a coincidence that you keep going back for more. It's by design. Let's break this down a little bit. Dopamine plays a huge role in your brain. It's the pleasure chemical. Dopamine is released when you do something rewarding, like eating your favorite food, accomplishing something, or in the case of social media, when you get a like, a comment, or a new notification. Your brain loves this stuff. It's literally wired to enjoy it. And social media companies know this. They know that every notification, every like, every new post is a tiny dopamine hit that keeps you hooked. The problem is, while dopamine feels good in the moment, it also creates a cycle. The more dopamine you get, the more you want. And before you know it, you're spending hours on social media without even realizing it. Your brain is overstimulated, and you're no longer in control. It's kind of like gambling. The design of social media is similar to the slot machines in a casino. You pull the lever and you don't know what you're going to get, but you're hoping for something good. The slot machine is rigged to give you small wins so that you'll keep playing. And social media works the same way. You might not realize it, but every time you get a notification, every time you get a like or a comment, your brain is receiving a small win. And just like with gambling, the small wins lead to bigger and bigger investments of your time and attention. But the reality is, these platforms aren't just harmless distractions. The constant bombardment of new information, images, videos, and updates leads to something called cognitive overload. This is when your brain is so overwhelmed by all the incoming information that it starts to shut down. It's like your brain reaches its capacity to handle new stuff, and instead of processing it effectively, it just gets overloaded and fried. And this is one of the key reasons why social media is so damaging, because it doesn't give your brain the space it needs to rest and recover. You're constantly feeding it new information, and it never gets a chance to process it properly. Now, let's talk about the science behind overstimulation. Overstimulation happens when you're exposed to more sensory input than your brain can handle. This doesn't just mean the number of things you're seeing, but it also includes the number of things you're hearing, the things you're touching, and even the things you're feeling emotionally. When your brain is exposed to constant high-stakes stimuli, like the constant flow of information from social media, it doesn't have time to filter or process anything properly. As a result, your brain gets fatigued, and this leads to the feeling of being overwhelmed, stressed, or anxious. There's a part of your brain called the prefrontal cortex that is responsible for decision-making, focus, and regulating your emotions. But when you're overstimulated, this area of your brain starts to lose control. You can't focus on anything, and everything feels more stressful and chaotic. When you're constantly getting new information and distractions, your brain's ability to process things slows down, and you start to feel like you're spinning or getting stuck. The more overstimulated you get, the harder it becomes to make good decisions or think clearly. This overstimulation also affects your physical health. Studies have shown that prolonged overstimulation can lead to symptoms of chronic stress. When you're stressed, your body releases cortisol, a hormone that is meant to help you deal with danger or threats. Your cortisol levels stay elevated for long periods of time, which can have damaging effects on your body. Over time, high cortisol levels can lead to a variety of health problems, including sleep disturbances, weight gain, weakened immune system, and even an increased risk of anxiety and depression. It's like your brain and body are in a constant state of emergency, even when there's no real emergency happening. And let's not forget about the impact on your relationships. Constantly checking your phone, scrolling through social media, or engaging with digital distractions takes away from the quality of time you spend with the people around you. Instead of being present and fully engaged with the people you care about, you're distracted, and this can lead to feelings of isolation, loneliness, or disconnection. Relationships suffer when we let social media and digital overstimulation take over, and this can affect your emotional well-being and mental health in the long run. So, if you're feeling overwhelmed, exhausted, or disconnected from the world, it might not be because there's something wrong with you. It could be because you're simply overstimulated. Your brain is overloaded with too much information, and it's taking a toll on your mental and physical health. And this is where the idea of a dopamine detox comes into play. Now, let's talk about what a dopamine detox is and why it's important for resetting your brain and giving it the space it needs to recover from overstimulation. A dopamine detox is essentially a reset for your brain. It's about cutting out the constant flow of dopamine-triggering activities that have been keeping you hooked. Things like social media, video games, or even just checking your phone all the time. The idea is to give your brain a break from these constant dopamine hits so that you can reset your relationship with pleasure and reward. When you do a dopamine detox, you stop engaging with anything that triggers that constant stream of dopamine. That means no scrolling through social media, no checking your email every 5 minutes, and no playing video games for hours on end. Instead, you focus on more low-stimulation activities that don't cause a huge rush of dopamine. These could be things like reading, walking, journaling, or simply sitting quietly without any distractions. The goal is to reset your brain's reward system so that you're no longer dependent on external stimulation to feel good. A dopamine detox doesn't mean you have to cut out all sources of pleasure. It's not about making yourself miserable. It's about giving yourself a break from the overstimulation that's taking over your life. By reducing the constant flow of dopamine, you'll start to notice that things that once seemed boring or uninteresting, like reading a book or going for a walk outside, actually become more enjoyable again. Your brain starts to recalibrate, and you begin to appreciate the smaller, quieter moments in life. Now that we've discussed how overstimulation affects us, and how social media companies use algorithms to keep us hooked, it's time to dive deeper into how you can do a dopamine detox. So let's break it down. The idea behind a dopamine detox is to help you regain control over your brain's reward system. If you've been feeling burnt out, disconnected, or like you're stuck in an endless loop of distractions, this is your chance to take back control and give yourself the mental space you need to reset. First, let's be clear about what the detox doesn't mean. It doesn't mean you have to completely cut yourself off from everything fun or enjoyable. The idea is to eliminate the things that are excessively overstimulating, the things that are hijacking your brain's dopamine system in a way that's unhealthy. It's about reducing the things that are giving you that constant cycle of quick, artificial rewards that lead to long-term burnout and loss of focus. A dopamine detox is not about punishing yourself. It's not about taking away all the things that make life enjoyable. It's more like hitting the reset button. When you stop the constant flow of distractions, your brain has the chance to recalibrate. Think of it like cleaning out your room or organizing a cluttered desk. When you get rid of the mess, you create space for the things that truly matter. So, how do you do it? Well, the first step is setting a time frame. Some people do a full day of detox, while others prefer to try entire months or more. It all depends on how intense you want the reset to be. The longer you can go without engaging with overstimulating activities, the more your brain will benefit from it. However, even a short time frame can have a significant impact. The key is to give yourself a solid break from the constant dopamine hits and allow your brain the time it needs to recover. The next step is to identify the things that are overstimulating you. We've already talked about social media, and that's one of the main culprits. It's easy to scroll through Instagram, TikTok, or Facebook for hours, But what you're doing is flooding your brain with tiny dopamine hits every few seconds. Each time you get a like or see a new post, your brain gets a little rush of excitement. This constant flow of stimuli doesn't give your brain the opportunity to process things properly. And when your brain gets overstimulated like this, it becomes harder to focus on anything else. So for the detox, you'll want to avoid social media completely, or at the very least, limit it drastically. Another thing you'll want to avoid is checking your phone constantly. The endless checking of notifications, whether it's emails, texts, or messages, keeps your brain in a constant state of anticipation. This is another way your brain gets overstimulated. Every time you hear a ping or buzz, your brain expects something new, something exciting. But here's the problem. This constant switching of attention and anticipation doesn't allow your brain to focus on anything deeply. It's like trying to read a book while someone keeps interrupting you every few seconds. It's impossible to fully engage with the task at hand. So, during your dopamine detox, try turning off notifications. Don't let your phone distract you from what you're doing. This might seem difficult at first, but trust me, you'll feel the difference. You'll be amazed at how much more focused and calm you can feel when you're not constantly bombarded with notifications. And if you need to, you can even put your phone in another room or leave it in airplane mode for a while. Next up, video games. If you're someone who plays video games regularly, you might not realize how much of a dopamine trap they can be. Like social media, video games are designed to give you small rewards and stimulation at regular intervals, which keeps your brain coming back for more. The thing is, this constant stimulation can make it harder to concentrate on other things, and it can contribute to that feeling of being overstimulated. So, during your dopamine detox, it's a good idea to take a break from video games too. Now, the idea of a detox might sound intimidating. After all, we're talking about cutting out things that you might really enjoy, or that have become a major part of your daily routine. But here's the thing. When you eliminate the overstimulating activities, you create space for the things that actually help your brain relax and reset. These might be things you've forgotten you enjoy, like reading a book, going for a walk, journaling, drawing, or even just sitting quietly and breathing deeply. Let's talk about some activities that are beneficial during a dopamine detox. First, focus on things that are simple, calming, and don't provide a rush of stimulation. Going for a walk in nature, for instance, can be incredibly grounding. Nature has a unique way of calming the mind and helping you reset. Whether you're walking through a park, hiking in the woods, or just sitting by a lake, the natural world offers a peaceful environment for your brain to unwind. Another great activity during a dopamine detox is meditation. Meditation is like exercise for your brain. It teaches you to focus your attention, calm your mind, and tune out distractions. There are different types of meditation, but all of them can help you reduce stress, manage your thoughts, and improve your overall mental health. You don't need to meditate for hours to see results. Even a short 5-minute session can help clear your mind and improve focus. Reading is another excellent activity during a dopamine detox. When you read a book, especially fiction, your brain has to slow down and process information at a different pace. Unlike social media or video games, reading doesn't provide a constant stream of rewards. It's a slower, more immersive activity that allows you to engage with your thoughts and imagination. You'll find that when you take a break from overstimulating activities, reading can become a more enjoyable and enriching experience. If you're someone who enjoys creative activities, now is the perfect time to pick up a hobby like drawing, painting, writing, or even playing a musical instrument. These activities allow you to express yourself and engage with your mind in a relaxed way. They're not about instant gratification or quick rewards. They're about the process, and that's where the real benefit lies. When you focus on creating something, whether it's art, music, or writing, you're giving your brain a break from the constant bombardment of digital stimuli. Also, don't underestimate the power of physical activity. Exercise is one of the most effective ways to reset your brain and manage overstimulation. It releases endorphins, which are your body's natural mood elevators, and helps reduce stress. Whether it's going for a run, doing yoga, or just stretching, physical activity can help ground you and give you a sense of calm and control. Finally, make sure to prioritize rest. Overstimulation can take a toll on your body, and rest is essential for recovery. Whether it's taking a nap, getting a full night's sleep, or simply lying down and letting your mind wander, rest is crucial for recharging your brain and preventing burnout. Remember, the point of the dopamine detox isn't to be perfect. It's not about completely cutting out every pleasurable activity from your life. It's about reducing the things that have been overstimulating you and giving your brain the space it needs to reset. Once your detox is over, you can go back to enjoying the things you love, social media, video games, and all the other activities. But you'll do so with a greater sense of awareness and control. Now that you've got a clearer understanding of what a dopamine detox is, how to go about it, and why it's important for resetting your brain, the next step is integrating these habits into your daily routine. The truth is, we live in a world that's designed to keep us overstimulated. It's almost impossible to avoid the constant bombardment of information, entertainment, and notifications. But that doesn't mean you have to give in to it. You have the power to take control over how much stimulation you let into your life. The goal isn't to live in a completely isolated or disconnected world, but to create a healthy balance, one where your brain isn't constantly in overdrive. The first step is recognizing that your relationship with technology and social media needs to be intentional. In the past, you might have checked your phone without even thinking about it, just a reflex every time you had a moment of downtime or were feeling bored. But now that you understand how overstimulation works, you can start to make more conscious decisions about how you use your devices. The best place to start is by setting boundaries. You don't have to quit social media entirely, unless you want to, of course. But you can set limits. Try designating certain times of day for checking your social media accounts and stick to those times. For example, maybe you only check Instagram or TikTok once in the morning and once in the evening. And during the rest of the day, you leave your phone out of sight and focus on other things. By setting these boundaries, you'll reduce the number of times your brain gets hit with those dopamine spikes. Another way to regain control is by turning off notifications. All those pings, buzzes, and vibrations are designed to capture your attention, and they do. Every time you hear that notification sound, your brain is conditioned to check it, even if it's just out of habit. So, go into your phone settings and turn off as many notifications as possible. This includes email alerts, social media updates, news apps, and anything else that pulls you out of the present moment. The less frequently you're interrupted, the easier it will be to focus on other things. Next, you can try using apps that help you track and manage your screen time. There are apps that block distracting websites or limit the amount of time you can spend on social media each day. One popular app for this is Forest, which helps you stay focused by planting virtual trees that grow the longer you stay off your phone. If you use your phone less, your tree grows. If you check your phone, the tree dies. It's a fun and interactive way to keep yourself accountable. There are also apps like Moment or Screen Time, if you're using an iPhone, that let you see how much time you're spending on your phone and can send you reminders to take breaks. Remember, it's not about being perfect, it's about progress. Some days, you might slip up and spend more time on your phone than you planned, and that's okay. The key is to be kind to yourself and understand that creating a healthier relationship with your devices is a journey. It's about making small, consistent changes that over time add up to a big difference in how you feel and how you function on a day-to-day basis. Another important habit to develop is practicing mindfulness throughout the day. It's about being present in whatever you're doing. Whether you're eating, talking with friends, walking to work, or even just sitting and doing nothing, be present. This is something we often forget to do because we're so used to multitasking or being distracted. But when you focus on the moment, when you give your full attention to the task at hand, you'll find that it's much more satisfying and fulfilling. Start small. You don't need to meditate for an hour a day or practice deep breathing for 30 minutes. Even just a few minutes of mindful breathing can help you reset your nervous system and reduce the effects of overstimulation. The key is to practice being aware of your thoughts and feelings without judgment. When you notice yourself getting caught in a loop of anxious thoughts or reaching for your phone out of habit, gently redirect your focus to the present moment. Now, let's talk about the long-term benefits of doing these things. When you reduce the amount of digital overstimulation in your life, your brain gets a chance to recover. You'll find that your attention span improves. You'll be able to focus more easily on tasks and get more done in less time. Your creativity will be boosted because your brain is no longer bogged down by constant distractions. You'll have more mental clarity, which means you can make better decisions and feel more in control of your life. But the benefits aren't just mental. Reducing overstimulation can improve your physical health too. When you take breaks from your screen and spend more time engaging in physical activities or just resting, your body has time to recover from the stress that digital overload causes. You'll sleep better because your brain isn't being constantly stimulated by blue light from your phone or computer screen. You'll also feel less anxious and stressed, which can improve your overall mood and sense of well-being. And perhaps most importantly, taking a step back from constant stimulation helps you reconnect with what truly matters. You'll find that the simple pleasures in life, the feeling of sunshine on your skin, the sound of a loved one's voice, the taste of your favorite meal, become more enjoyable. When you're not constantly chasing after that next dopamine hit, you can start appreciating life in its purest form. So as you work on creating healthier boundaries with technology and incorporating the habits of a dopamine detox into your routine, remember that this is all about balance. The goal isn't to demonize technology or social media, but to become more mindful about how you use them. By taking control of your digital habits, you can free yourself from the grip of overstimulation and experience a deeper sense of calm, clarity, and connection with the world around you. In conclusion, the fight against overstimulation and the constant pull of social media is not an easy one, but it is possible. By understanding how these platforms work, how they exploit your brain's reward system, and by doing a dopamine detox, you're giving yourself the opportunity to reset. It's like hitting the pause button for your brain, allowing it to recover and recalibrate. And once you're on the other side of that detox, you'll find that you have a better sense of control, a greater appreciation for the present moment, and a stronger connection to the things that really matter. So take it one step at a time. Start small, make conscious decisions, and trust the process. It's not about going cold turkey or making drastic changes overnight. It's about progress, and every little step you take is a victory. By giving yourself the time and space to reset, you're investing in your future self. You're giving yourself the chance to live a more balanced, fulfilling life. And that, my friend, is something worth striving for.